Providing resources, articles, and useful information on your website as a method of building trust and encouraging further engagement with consumers is nothing new. It's called content marketing. It's been around for years. Typically, the information provided is commentary, research, what-to-do PDFs or ebooks, and this can be a difficult wall for law firm marketers to climb. What do you provide that can generate recurring interest and engagement with legal consumers? The answer to this question for some law firms is basic legal docs. Now, this may sound like blasphemy in the land of the billable hour, but some firms are looking at what online service providers like LegalZoom and Rocket Lawyer are successfully doing to attract clients and following suit. It would be ironic if a lawyer that built a practice based on intellectual property protection would themselves use content marketing and give away, for free, what many other firms would protect. That's exactly what we got going today on Lawsome: IP law, content marketing, and why giving it away can be a sound legal marketing strategy. Ready? Let's go.
Lawsome, the podcast for law firms. Powered by Consultwebs.
Welcome back to Lawsome, the only podcast for law firms that can't see a good reason to keep the socks that have lost their partners, but still holds on to them because, hey, you never know. We're here to inform, educate, and entertain the legal community on the latest in personal and professional developments. I am Jake Sanders, and with me is the star of the off-Broadway hit, My Left Sock, Paul Julius. Paul, how are you? How'd the debut go?
I think it's one of those things that's going to be a slow burn. It's really hard to dress up a show where it's just me talking to a sock puppet.
Oh, and I thought you were the sock too. Is it just a one sock performance?
It is a one sock, but I play both parts.
And are you just wearing a sock?
At times, strategically.
This is great. Strategic sock wearing.
Well, you know.
All right, let's tell him. Just tell him. Just give him the deal.
Okay, for real. On the show today, we're going to talk about legal marketing and how law firm owners are embracing the entrepreneurial spirit with articles from Above the Law and entrepreneur.com. Then we visit master marketer and IP law goddess Autumn Witt Boyd to discuss how content marketing has transformed her practice. And then we get to find out what the real deal is. 5 questions we ask everyone.
Pull up a plate. It's the Hot Takes Buffet.
The Hot Take Buffet features 2 tasty dishes. One from Jonathan Marciano, which is an amazing name. It's 10 lawyers turned entrepreneurs creating a revolution in law. And then the second one is by Joe Patrice from Above the Law, and it's Giving Away Legal Forms is Good Business. We were looking for articles to share that related to the interview, that related to the theme. And you found these 2. I think we both kind of brought something, but the most interesting thing is giving it away is good. And I think there's a lot of marketing anti-thoughts is that you create this enticement to bring them in and then you give them the good stuff. So what was your thought in bringing these 2 things, Paul, and what's your take on it?
So you brought the entrepreneur one.
Oh yeah,
which is amazing. And the entrepreneur one, I'll just give a quick rundown
nice.
Of that one first. But basically, that article is about lawyers leaving the safe and, let's face it, well-paying world of law to build their own, tech-first companies. And the motivation for this is that they need to fix problems and inefficiencies that they've run into when they were practicing law. And it's my favorite, an enumerated list. There's 10 people in here who are doing some amazing things. My favorite one is Chrissy Lightfoot, who founded this thing called Robot Lawyer Lisa, which stands for Legal Intelligence Support Assistant. And it's the world's first impartial AI lawyer, which is amazing and terrifying all at the same time. But I think what's really cool about this entrepreneur article, a lot of this is they're embracing that tech idea of, build, test, break, iterate. So they're getting their products out there, which is pretty cool. And these are things that some of them, designed to help lawyers. Some of them, like Lisa, they're designed to replace lawyers, I guess.
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah.
And that leads into the second thing, which is our above the law one, which is giving away legal forms is good business. And this one kind of brings things a little bit more to the point that we're making with this episode, with regards to IP, protecting your stuff, but at the same time, you've got some marketing that has to happen. This one is basically saying firms are starting to play with the idea of offering free legal forms to build reputation, demonstrate expertise, and also putting legal documents online allows law firms to maximize potential deal flow at minimal cost. So these two things combined, I think, are a very cool balance of innovation, kind of guerrilla marketing, and at the same time, this idea, and you say it very well later on in the interview, that you can put all the stuff out in the world, and people won't know what to do with it, So they're still going to need services.
And that's what Autumn's main point was too, is that she offers up branded, legal resources, and she offers flat fees, and it's real easy to see what you're getting from her services. If you're a business and you're looking for an IP lawyer, she knows what you're looking for, but she knows that you aren't going to be able to handle it. And she knows you need to talk to her. And so she's created YouTube whole campaigns based around frequently asked questions of her clients, YouTube videos. Now she has a podcast in its 3rd season. And she says she's generating leads from her content marketing, along with understanding who it is, and along with just providing value way above just her expertise. And I think just having the idea that there's something else that your legal services can make possible, it's up to you to figure out how and where that meaning can come from. Because all those, Chrissy Lightfoot, which is an amazing, Gordon Lightfoot's granddaughter, I don't know who that is, but it's interesting to see those people. And as you said in the beginning, they had a problem and they needed to solve it. So they just strapped on their boots and got some gloves and went in there. Later on, Autumn thinks, she talks about law firms, how we do it. We do it specific here. We have a specific way we do it. So everyone thinks they have trade secrets,
right?
But then when it comes to you dealing with some contract that you've never seen, you need a template, or you need somebody else's boilerplate to go off of. You need examples. So there is a mix of, I need existing things, but then I know I need advice that isn't here, that is live and real time, that only a lawyer can bring. And so in a way, giving them all that legal advice funnels them back towards you stronger than just saying, I have a lot of really important stuff to tell you, but I'm not going to tell you anything until you start the clock.
Yeah, this there's kind of a 3-pronged attack in this episode. Number one is kind of specifically talking about your IP protections, you as a law firm, like trademark, what is actually, trade secrets. Then there's more about the practice. So if you're interested in looking into doing IP law as a practice area, we dig into that a little bit more. But then I think Autumn gives some very practical and immediately useful advice about marketing. And her attitude of, you gotta find your audience, and sometimes you got to turn over a couple different rocks before you find, it's
true.
That was not a real good.
No,
you gotta go looking under rocks.
Well, where are they wiggling around?
It's
It's
doesn't paint a good picture of where people's clients might be. But what I'm saying is that you have to try a couple different things, and she gives some really good examples about that.
Exactly, and so we should turn over our own rock and see what's going on.
Yeah, let's go.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
We're getting updates on that developing story where a local law firm was buried in leads from the internet. We go now to our own Stacey Williams, who's live with the details.
Chaos. scene here outside a prominent law firm where just hours ago, a digital marketing campaign from Consultwebs went live, burying the entire building in clicks, calls, and leads. A few paralegals managed to get out, but some of the staff are still stuck inside trying to sign all of the cases coming in.
I mean, it seemed like right after the first call came in, we couldn't keep up. Qualified lead after lead came in. We were ranking higher than ever on Google by 10 in the morning. The likes on our Facebook page exploded by noon. My mom, my own mother, called the firm asking about a blog we wrote last week about handling insurance adjusters. And that's when the chats came in. The chats.
It wasn't until I tried to head out for lunch that I noticed the leads were starting to come into the windows on the second level. Our receptionist started to tie together extension cords to create a rope to lower herself to safety. But I guess that's when the banner ads went live, and I blacked out.
Oh, wow. So it appears that the leads are lightening up a bit. Here comes more of the staff making their way out from under the heavy curtain of leads. Sir, can you tell us what happened? Should lawyers hire Consultwebs for their digital marketing agency?
Look, I'll just say this. We were not ready for the leads to come in so heavy and consistently. If you're marketing your law firm online, call Consultwebs, but just be prepared for it to go better than expected.
Go to www.consultwebs.com to learn more.
Autumn Witt Boyd is an experienced intellectual property lawyer practicing out of Tennessee, helping entrepreneurs grow successful businesses by providing legal strategies that tap the hidden gold mines of IP in their companies. Autumn got her JD from Vanderbilt. She now runs her own practice. She's on season 3 of her own podcast, and she's an amazing force to be reckoned with when it comes to legal marketing. After successfully aligning our schedules, we're honored to have her on the show. Autumn, welcome to Lawsome.
Thank you guys for having me.
So we were talking a bit before we hit record, but intellectual property. Personally, I think there's been some misuse about what constitutes the terms IP and IP theft. And as questions are growing around data privacy and security, third-party access of data, the GDPR, all that stuff, can you give us a basic primer on intellectual property and why that term should matter to small business owners? And then what vulnerabilities and safeguards are there that need to be pointed out to law firms in specific? I know it's a big one.
So I'm glad we have an 8-hour podcast today.
Let's go dig in.
Just a small topic.
Yeah.
So when most people think of intellectual property, there's a couple categories. So copyrights. This is all, I'm a U.S. lawyer, so this is all U.S. law, but none of this is legal advice. Our copyright laws cover things that we think of as creative works. So with a law firm, that's going to be maybe your logo. If you have documents that you like, worksheets or things that you send to clients to help them, or resources that you provide them, kind of information, helpful things like that. Lawyers are not creating a lot of IP in general in the copyright realm, because most of what we do is contracts, and everybody's borrowing from everybody. Nobody's very original usually in the legal field. So photos, music, film, those are all kind of the core of copyright, but usually lawyers are not creating much of that. The second type of IP that we think about are trademarks. So lawyers are creating a fair amount of this. So this is anything that identifies you as the source of a product or service. So think about your business name. If you have like a catchphrase or a slogan that you use, it could be if you have a productized service, like I have this initial consult that I do with my clients called the Legal Roadmap Session. That is a registered trademark. So there can be all kinds of things in your business. It could be a logo, anything that identifies your law firm or your business as the source of a product or service. That's going to be a trademark.
Got it.
And then we also have patents, which are going to cover inventions and useful things. Lawyers are generally not creating those kinds of things. But you might have a signature process that you use that could be patented, ? And then what we have a lot of are trade secrets. So this is not registered. It's protected by you keeping it secret. And these are things like customer and prospect lists. These are the way any systems or processes that you use in your business, kind of the secret sauce of how you run your law firm.
Interesting.
That stuff is protectable. Although people don't always think about trade secrets when they're thinking about IP. So that's kind of your 100,000 foot overview of IP.
one thing that I've heard is that when a lawyer will leave a bigger firm
Mhm.
and start their own firm and take some of those clients with them, is that gonna kind of fall into that trade secrets
Well,
thing, or
lawyers
is
are
that
weird. Yeah,
okay?
we have these weird ethics rules that are
Okay.
different than most other professions. So for lawyers, and it's the same for doctors generally, the client gets to choose.
Okay.
So the lists of customers and things like that are a little different for a law firm. But certainly if you have prospect lists, or like if you've done research and you have a CRM or some sort of data management where you're keeping track of things like that, that's certainly going to be a trade secret.
Okay.
But it's a little trickier with actual clients.
Gotcha.
So speaking of, I mean, a law firm that maybe doesn't have a lot of cool, creative, copywritten, trademarked, patented, trade secret stuff, your website is like awesome because you have a branded legal roadmap. You have your flat fee templates right there, prices right up front, videos, webinars, your stuff on YouTube, your podcast. And so you have such a strong marketing juju. What's been the response from your clients in specific, and how do you keep up making all of this content? I mean, like when most lawyers are saying, I ain't got time for that, it seems like you are just that. I wonder if you have time for law,
The balance has shifted for sure. Well, so
Sure.
I'll start out by saying I work mostly with online businesses. So these are other businesses that are doing a lot of online marketing themselves and social media marketing and creating content. So I kind of have to be like them to appeal to them. So that is kind of one of my strategies. They want to land on my website and feel like I'm one of them, like they know what to expect, not that I'm a stodgy old white shoe law firm full of old guys who don't understand what Facebook is. So that's part of it. How do I have time? I tried a couple different things when it came to content marketing. I tried writing blogs, and I found that I would spend a whole day on a blog, which is not practical. And that's when I hit on the podcast, because I had been a guest on a lot of other people's podcasts, and I liked it. I like to talk, and it's a pretty efficient way. I outsource all the editing and a lot of the kind of putting together the show notes page on the website, and the nitty gritty stuff I outsource.
Yeah.
So that's how I have time for that. I spend about an hour and a half a week, so it's not a huge time commitment, but it is every week.
Man, we gotta talk to you about that.
I know. Yeah, that sounds awesome. But do you specifically carve out times like, boom, content marketing Thursdays too?
Wednesday afternoon. Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
But it's like an hour. I mean, it's on my calendar every Wednesday afternoon, and I may move it around a little bit, but yeah, it is on my calendar every week.
That's a very refreshing thing to hear, because we hear a lot from lawyers in different practice areas who kind of look down on social media and some of that stuff. It's like, oh, there's no way to get cases there. So it's I think there's something to be said for putting in the hours, even if it's only an hour a week, but just dedicating something to it.
Yeah. And I'll say I didn't necessarily get clients from it on day one.
Sure.
It's kind of a slow burn, and there's a lot of SEO with podcasts. So I'm now getting the benefit of having, I think we just hit episode number 70. So now when someone searches trademarks in iTunes, which people do use it like a search engine, a lot of my episodes pop up. And so that has now yielded client. I mean, I am starting to get totally cold client inquiries from that. So that's been phenomenal.
That's wonderful.
But it's like you say, it's not overnight.
Yeah,
no
for sure.
way. 70 episodes later.
Yeah. Definitely. We hear about the exponential rate of innovation around tech, which meets with older, more fundamental things like laws, regulations, and institutions. And there's a clash where laws can't change fast enough and humans can't adapt enough. But tech can. So like robot lawyers giving tickets, robot, assisted doc review. I know you have I think is it a podcast episode or one? You had a thing on your website about using LegalZoom to register your trademark being a whole rule idea.
I think it's terrible.
So so what's all this at? Are we being outpaced by innovation, or how do we keep up with that? What's good? What's not good?
It's all changing really quickly, and we're all trying to catch up. what I've seen happening, and I'm just an observer, I'm not like a legal technologist by any means. But I think some of the, the really boring legal work that none of us like doing anyway, is going to start to be done by robots. And I think that's okay. Or people are going to, use a contract template, which I sell, and some people think is a terrible idea. But you know what? Working with me one-on-one is really expensive. And so not everybody needs to spend that amount of money to get a contract. It doesn't necessarily make sense. The ROI is not there for every person or every business to spend thousands of dollars sitting down with a lawyer, going through everything in super fine detail, and then having me put my brain to it for hours on end. Like the ROI is not there. And so I think that, I think the lower end of the market is going to go to, some of these more automated things. And maybe they're not perfect. Like, can somebody screw up one of my contract templates? Yes, absolutely. But they're probably never going to be in federal court, suing somebody over it. So it's probably going to get them 99% of the way there. And that's probably okay. So that's kind of my take on it. I think at the high level, people are always going to want to ask questions. And so there's always going to be a need for lawyers, for people who can answer questions and help people make decisions. And I don't think that work is ever going to go away. So a robot can't do that.
Right. Well, I was envisioning something when I was doing the research for this, that one day you would be going across an IP thing and you would sign off on a trademark for a lawyer who did IP law, like an automated lawyer who helped people do that. And you're like, man, this is real weird. We're not there at that singularity or the inversion, but I think that I see a lot of legal hackathons happening, and there's a lot of people saying stateless nations and the laws we need to find our way to get around IP and find our way to get around all of these infrastructures. I mean, in regards to people using law in new ways like blockchain, hologram contracts. I don't know where they're at, but there's unicorns involved, and there's vape juice covering everything. But the question is, what do you think? I mean, are we headed there, or are you worried about that? What do you think? Just kind of from the peanut gallery again.
Yeah, that's all I've got.
That's where we're at too. Oh, it's just delicious.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. I think there's a lot of opportunity. I think, when you look at something like chain of title for copyrights, it's virtually impossible for really old works to figure out who owns them, because maybe it was inherited, or maybe it was passed along, or maybe it was used to secure a debt and now the bank owns it. There's no public way to figure that stuff out. And so if it could be on the blockchain where there's a single place that you look for things like that, that would be wonderful. So I think there's some real opportunities, and we'll just see how it all plays out. But I mean, the laws are always going to be changing and adapting as we have new technologies, and we're always going to need lawyers to help us figure out how to either work with the laws or creatively get around the laws, in ways that are still allowed. I just don't think that you're ever going to totally eliminate the need for people to think creatively and to read things and analyze them. And most of what I do with my clients all day is educate. I answer their questions. I explain how things work, and I help them make decisions. And like I said, I just don't think a robot can do that. They can do some of it. Can they fill out a trademark application? Sure. But what I have seen when I've tried to use some of those automated tools is my clients don't even know what they don't know to know what to fill in the blanks on the forms. Right. So, that's where I kind of say that I'm providing value that a robot can't provide.
Absolutely. I've used something similar to do a terms and conditions now with all the privacy laws, and you go through and answer all the questions. And I still,
you're like
I didn't know what it was when we were done.
Yeah.
So I totally agree. So getting back to what Jake was talking about, your website is amazing. Your content production, you're answering great questions. You're putting it out on all kinds of different platforms. Again, with your podcast is great. What's your advice for marketing to lawyers, regardless of the practice area? Is it about, is it all about content? Is it about, doing TED Talks? Does everybody need a podcast? Like, where do you think it's at? Or is it some kind of combination?
I think it really depends on who you're trying to reach. And I certainly don't have all the answers. I spent the last year really investing my time and energy in local marketing. So going to networking events and meeting people and trying to connect with the people that I wanted to work with. And it went over like a lead balloon. Like it did not get me many results at all. So, I think you've got to try things out, see what works, see what doesn't. Like you said, if you're a personal injury lawyer, maybe online marketing is not what you need to do. Maybe you need to be advertising in other places. So I think it really is depending on who you're trying to reach and where they're hanging out and what they're looking for. Like for the online business owners that I really love working with and that I've now really narrowed and niched down and focused on, they're not reading blogs because they don't have time, but they listen to podcasts while they're driving or while they're doing chores around the house or while they're out on a run. So, the podcast has been really effective for me that way, but it might not be for somebody else.
Well, and so how did you discover these things, Autumn? Did you just pull it out of thin air?
No.
Or I think that we're kind of hitting a stride with a lot of I just have a survey out on Twitter about who asks their clients, law firm owners, who do you ask for feedback about the experience at their firm? And it's crazy. Not a lot of people want to hear from their clients. And I remember working in a law firm and being amongst lawyers, and they're like, these clients are making my life difficult. And I was like, well, it's just, I wonder where you buy your pants from and how you have pants that cover your legs. Because there's this give and take. How did you get in there and discover who your most valuable client was? I mean, was it this deep process, or how did you do this? I mean, you're a success.
Oh gosh, it's been a lot of trial and error.
Oh, okay. Important to know.
I have to tell you one thing that I've done that I think has served me really well is that I have done a lot of self-education outside of the legal world. So I am in a lot of Facebook groups and I've gone through some online courses and I've read a lot of books that are targeted at people who are not lawyers. Because I think lawyers sometimes get a little stuck in, well, this is the way we've always done it. So this is the way we're always going to do it. And, we're hemmed in by all these ethics rules. But I like to be more creative and I like to see what other people are doing. So I've learned a lot from, how a photographer markets their business or how a graphic designer or, somebody in a totally different, still client-centric, service-based business. But, what are they doing to reach people? Because they're not just sitting in an office like a lot of lawyers do or just going to lunch. They're doing really innovative, interesting things. And so I think I've learned a lot from that, from watching other people in other industries.
It's just so cool. And then the fact that you're honest about, like, I went and shook hands and it was amazing and it didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
You got to pay attention to your activities. And I think a lot of people feel busyness is business. And as long as I'm just active,
last year, so I was in like a networking group that's kind of like BNI, but it wasn't BNI. But it's the same kind of model. We met on a regular basis. We were supposed to be trading leads. And I literally got one client from it, which was not a very profitable client. And so I was like, I've spent all this time and energy that I could have been spending on other things. And the result was not great. But if I hadn't been tracking that, it did, like you say, I was very busy. I was going to a lot of lunches, a lot of coffees.
Had some mochas.
Yeah, so you gotta track. That's been a big thing.
But it's so wonderful because it's about getting it, but then listening to the feedback, and trying to do something with it. But you are brilliant. Autumn, if people want to learn more about you, flattery will get us everywhere. But if people want to learn more about you, how you're doing stuff at your law firm, how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, the website is kind of the hub that you mentioned. It's my initials. It's awbfirm.com. And then the Legal Roadmap podcast is where I put out all kinds of chat about business and trademarks and copyrights and online marketing.
5 questions we ask everyone.
Number 1, what was the last book you read?
Oh, I'm reading a couple right now. Playing Big by Tara Moore, I'll say.
All right. Number 2, what is your favorite place?
Oh, gosh. My back deck.
Nice. Number 3, what sites, blogs, newsletters, or podcasts do you regularly check in with?
I really like the Lawyerist podcast.
Yes.
That is one of my favorites for staying up on interesting legal trends. And then I listen to The Daily, which is the New York Times Daily podcast. And I listen to a ton of podcasts. So that's probably my biggest one. And then my favorite, just kind of fluffy one, is Young House Love has a podcast. It's like about home decor and renovation. So it's a little break from all the heavy stuff.
Totally.
Nice. All right. Number 4. If you were stranded on a desert island and could only pick one condiment to take with you, what would it be?
Yeah.
Wow. Blue cheese dressing.
Solid.
All the way.
Second time. That's the second
Yeah.
time.
That's right.
That's the dressing that eats like a meal. I mean,
That's right. It's a slow burn. It's getting popular. All right. Last one. After a long day or a long week at work, how do you relax and unwind?
Glass of champagne and a bubble bath. I have 3
Awesome.
young children, so that's like my little respite.
Oh, yeah. Here, you close that bathroom door.
Yes, after
That's
bedtime.
right.
Lock the bathroom door.
For show notes, links, and info, go to thelawsomepodcast.com or follow us on Twitter or Facebook. Be sure to leave us a review and rating in iTunes or wherever you find the you listen to. Until next week, stay lawsome.